Let me start with the headline you probably saw this week, because it is a great headline and it is also wrong. The first fully autonomous AI ransomware attack. No human at the keyboard. The machines are extorting us now. And then, a day later, the quieter correction that almost nobody reshared. It still needed a human. So which is it? I read the actual Sysdig write-up, the TechCrunch follow-up, and the vendor blogs, and I want to walk you through what really happened. Because the gap between the headline and the technical reality is the whole story here. The threat actor is called JadePuffer. Sysdig's threat research team caught it and describes it as the first documented case of agentic ransomware. Their term is an agentic threat actor. The idea is that the attack capability is delivered by an AI agent, rather than by a human running a toolkit by hand. And to be clear up front, that framing is not marketing nonsense. Something real and new did happen here. I just want you to understand exactly which part is new, because the industry is about to spend the next year selling you products based on the part that isn't. Here is how the intrusion actually unfolded. The entry point was an internet-facing Langflow instance. Langflow is a popular open-source tool for building LLM pipelines, and it had a known remote code execution vulnerability, CVE 2025-3U48. So step one is depressingly familiar. An unpatched internet exposed service with a public CVE. That is not the AI part. That is 2019. That is every breach report you have ever skimmed. Once inside, this is where it gets interesting. The agent ran reconnaissance on the environment, used credentials to move laterally, established persistence, escalated privileges, found the production database, and then ran a destructive extortion playbook against it. Sysdig says it encrypted 1,342 NACO service configuration items and then deleted the originals. So this wasn't a proof of concept in a lab. It reached a real production database and did real damage. Now, why does Sysdig believe an AI drove this rather than a person? This is the part I found genuinely convincing, and it's worth slowing down on. They found three categories of evidence. First, self-narrating code. The decoded payloads are absolutely saturated with natural language commentary. The code explains why each action is being taken. It talks about return on investment when prioritizing targets. It identifies the largest database. It describes the purpose of each step as it goes. Here is the tell. No human operator annotates a disposable one-line Python command that way. Nobody writing a throwaway exploit stops to write a paragraph explaining their reasoning to nobody. But a large language model does that by default, because that is how it was trained to think out loud. The commentary is the fingerprint. Second, autonomous error correction. When something failed, the operation adapted and retried with refined parameters, the way a human operator handles an obstacle. In one documented sequence, it went from a failed login to a working fix in 31 seconds. That is fast, but more importantly, it is unsupervised. Nobody was sitting there debugging in real time. Third, adaptive behavior against unexpected responses. At one point, it sent a request expecting JSON and got XML back instead. Instead of just crashing, the agent immediately rewrote its parser to match the S3 response schema and reissued the request. That is not a fixed script. A fixed script would have choked. This thing looked at reality, noticed reality didn't match its assumption, and rewrote itself to fit. That is the capability that actually matters, and I don't want to undersell it. So that's the case for autonomy, and it's a strong case. Now here's the catch, and this is where I part ways with the scary headline. Read the fine print, and a human is all over this operation. A person set up and pointed the whole thing. A person provisioned the infrastructure, the command and control server, the staging server where the stolen data went. A person chose the victim. And critically, the credentials that got the agent into the victim's database were not harvested by the AI at all. Someone obtained those separately through a prior compromise and handed them to the operation on a plate. Think about what that means. The two hardest, most judgment-heavy parts of a real intrusion, getting that first foothold and acquiring valid credentials, were done by a human the old-fashioned way. What the AI automated was the middle of the kill chain, the recon, the lateral movement, the persistence, the encryption. And here's the uncomfortable engineering truth. That middle stretch is exactly the part that was already the most scriptable. We have had automated post-exploitation frameworks for a decade. Cobalt Strike, Metasploit, dozens of others. The novelty is not that the middle got automated. The novelty is that it got automated by something that can improvise when the script breaks. So let me be precise about what actually changed, because precision is the entire point of this channel. What changed is not autonomy. A human still bookended the whole thing. What changed is the skill floor. Previously, to chain recon, credential use, lateral movement, persistence, and destruction while adapting to a database that doesn't respond the way you expected, you needed an operator with real cross-domain expertise. You needed someone who understood networks and databases and could debug on the fly. JadePuffer shows that an LLM agent can do that improvisation for you. The operator no longer needs deep expertise in any single step. That is the thing that should worry you, not robot hackers with no human involved, mediocre humans with cheap access to expert-level improvisation on demand. And that reframes the defensive conversation completely. Every vendor this quarter is going to try to sell you an AI versus AI product to fight the autonomous threat. Be skeptical. Look at how this attack actually started. An unpatched Langflow server with a public CVE and credentials from a prior breach. Neither of those is a novel AI problem. Patch your internet-facing services. Rotate and monitor credentials. Watch for the behavior that only an automated agent produces, like a failed login turning into a working one in 31 seconds, or a burst of adaptive requests hammering an internal endpoint at machine speed. The good news, if there is any, is that agentic attacks are noisy and fast in ways that are actually detectable. That 31-second fix is a detection opportunity, not just a scary statistic. And let me put this milestone in context because we have been here before. Every year or two, we get the first AI-powered attack that supposedly changes everything. We got the AI worm proofs of concept. We got the polymorphic malware that rewrites itself on demand. Most of those turned out to be lab demos that never touched a real victim, or they quietly relied on a human doing the hard 90% off camera. What makes JadePuffer different is that it did hit a real production database and did real damage in the wild. So I am not dismissing it, I am calibrating it. This is a genuine first with an asterisk, and the asterisk is the part that actually tells you what to do about it. Ignore the milestone. Study the mechanism. So here's my verdict. JadePuffer is real, it matters, and it is not the thing the headline said it was. It is not proof that autonomous AI will replace human attackers, because a human did the hardest parts, and this operation would not have happened without one. It is proof of something narrower and over time more corrosive, that the expertise bottleneck in the middle of a cyber attack is dissolving. The barrier to running a competent intrusion just dropped, and it will keep dropping. Call it the first agentic ransomware if you want the clean milestone. I'll call it what it is. The first time we watched an AI improvise its way through the boring, expensive middle of an attack, while a human still handled the parts that require judgment. That is a smaller claim. It is also the true one, and the true one is the one you can actually defend against. If this is the kind of breakdown you want, cutting through the hype to the part that actually holds up, subscribe, because I do this every single day. I read the primary sources so you don't have to, and I tell you which parts survive contact with an engineer. I'll see you in the next one.